I wanted to talk a little bit about Xbox. Now, this is not a console wars video. If you have a big stake in which plastic box is better for your games, cool. Good for you. I'm not really that person. I play both and I have a PC. But there's something I wanted to talk about with Xbox that I think is really impressive that they have not really gotten credit for.
Oh, is it the fact that the Xbox Series X turned out to be smaller than the PS5?
It sort of. I mean, I think if you flattened it, it'd probably be about the same size,
Yeah, probably.
actually. But
if it's on the shelf, better.
One's a fridge and one's a Wi-Fi router, so take that for what you will. But Xbox has done a really good job with its backwards compatibility program and also with FPS Boost, which is I wouldn't say new feature, it's relatively new because it launched essentially with the Series X and S, where they go back and take games, some of them newer, some of them older, and they boost them. I know, revolutionary idea. They make it run better.
Yeah, they make them go up to 60 and sometimes 120 FPS, which is a lot better than 30 or less. I don't know if you want to explain frame rate to some people who don't get it.
I certainly can, yeah. And by the way, if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. This is just kind of a laid back talking about gaming hardware one, but we will be covering a wide variety of stuff going forward. With FPS, essentially that's frames per second. I think most, if not every gamer understands the layman terms of it, which is essentially how quickly the image displays itself. Like it's essentially, it's hard to explain, but it's like 24 FPS is a movie generally. You know, you see it happen in a cinematic view. A lot of games are 30 FPS. A lot of games that are quicker, like Twitch type shooters like Call of Duty, those are 60 FPS generally because they are more fluid movements, faster response time.
Something that would, I think, help somebody younger understand it more is, you know, when you see stop motion things and you kind of see it frame by frame, all things are like that with your TV screen or your computer screen, but with video games you want it to be really high frame rate speed, so it's all of the pictures are moving really, really quickly, so it looks super smooth and there's no lag at all.
Yeah, if you've ever played something like Demon's Souls, the original Demon's Souls, you know what bad frame rate is. It's essentially, you know, seeing it almost like a PowerPoint presentation. And I think that it's interesting because, yes, people know what Xbox's FPS boost is generally, but I've even talked to Xbox owners who don't know much about it, who don't even know about the Xbox backwards compatibility program. Not sponsored at all here, but I think it's pretty impressive how they started with the Xbox One, coming off what I would call the failure, in my opinion, of Don Matrick, marketing the thing to be an always online DRM type tool. Now, do they still have problems with certain DRM stuff, just like PlayStation? Yes, but I think it's pretty telling when you look at how good the FPS boost is on the console. So for example, we're going to be playing some things in this video. I think the first Watch Dogs, it was in barely 30 FPS on Xbox One and PS4. It's now running at a very smooth 60 FPS generally.
It's really incredible that, sorry to cut you off, but it's incredible that the Xbox team themselves went back into these older games for the last generation and made them run better on their consoles because they care.
Yeah, so a good example of that is Assassin's Creed 3 as well, which I don't think we'll have Assassin's Creed 3 on here, but we might have a different Assassin's Creed. But regardless, that game barely runs 30 FPS when it was on Xbox 360 and PS3. Like, I'm probably 24 to 26, maybe, not very well optimized. The thing with FPS Boost is they got it running at a solid 60 FPS. Like, it is running very smoothly. Yes, at times it does dip the image resolution a tiny bit in order to get that because it's such an old game, but it's really worth the trade-off. And you have to think, too, you might say, like, well, Jay, you own a PC. Why are you even impressed by this? You know, your PC can run things at hundreds of frames per second. Absolutely. You know, you're 100% right. I prioritize frame rate over resolution. I play on 1440p monitors, which is 2K, not because I couldn't afford 4K monitors, but because I'd rather play with a higher frame rate and 2K resolution than a lower frame rate and 4K resolution.
If you guys have ever played something like Call of Duty with really bad Wi-Fi and how bad it lags and it's like a nightmare, you'd understand why we prioritize FPS, because it is an absolute nightmare to play a game that lags. Sometimes they're unplayable.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with the Xbox Game Boost too, the point I'm kind of getting to with it in a bit of a roundabout way is some games are boosted better than they are on PC, actually. Yes, you can get Assassin's Creed 3 running at 60 FPS on PC. You can actually get it running at like 120 FPS. But you know what it does? It actually kind of breaks the game's physics engine. For some reason, when Ubisoft designed this game, what they did was they sort of tied the physics engine in with the frame rate. I don't personally understand fully how they did it. I have not seen many games do this. But it's an issue where if you start accelerating that frame rate to add in these extra frames to make the game more fluid, you mess up the general physics engine. So maybe Connor's running around wearing an outfit and all of a sudden it's glitching out of existence, or it's, rubber banding. And then if you crank it above 120 FPS, it generally just breaks the game completely. And you have to do a lot of workarounds to try and get that smoothed out. You can do it, but it's you on your own fiddling with settings, fiddling with INI files, really trying to get this thing running at peak efficiency. Whereas on Xbox,
they did it for you.
You pop the game in, they did it for you.
And we can play it on a 4K TV. I mean, we have that. We could get 4K monitors if we really wanted to, but we already got the 4K TV. Might as well play it there.
And it's worth noting, too, that it does run at about, I believe, 900p instead of 9... I would have to think. It was a little over 900p, I think, on Xbox One when it was running, I believe.
Also,
but the thing with that, just before you jump in, is that it looks way better. Like, you can't tell the difference. Like, you can tell the difference between slightly downscaled with 60 FPS or slightly upscaled with barely 30. The game is night and day.
We did watch videos, though, I think, especially on the Assassin's Creed games, where you see the side-by-side of what it looks like on the One X and what it looks like on the 360, and the graphics look a lot better, and you can see them more detailed, and I think the games look a lot prettier, too.
Yeah.
So, that's something where you'd have to mess with a lot of texture packs and stuff on your computer to do that yourself, or you could just turn on your Xbox.
Well, even look at Assassin's Creed 1. On the Xbox One X, or even it was really enhanced, I guess, for the One X before, but on the Series X and S as well, if you're looking at it, it looks beautiful compared to what it did look like. Like, you should look up some I guess, I don't know what you'd say, comparison videos, because we're not really doing a comparison video here. We're just showing how good the games look.
They look great.
They have 4K texture packs that they built essentially into the game. Like, they smoothed over all the details. It's insane how much less jagged the images are. And you might think that these things don't matter, but it's crazy how much they actually do in your immersion in a game. How much a game running poorly will kind of pull you out of the game or make you maybe not enjoy it as much, with the occasional, exception, like Deadly Premonition.
Speaking of immersion, if you want to play some games with some friends, but you don't have very many friends in real life.
Wow.
We have a Let's Play channel.
Well, if you have friends, you can check out the Let's Play channel too.
But I'm just saying, you're going to play all of the FPS boosted Assassin's Creed games on
Only
that.
if you have no friends are you allowed on our Let's Play channel.
Well, I'm just saying if they're lonely.
Yeah, this is the Neverland of Let's Play channels. It could be Michael Jackson's, it could be Peter Pan's, could be a mixture. You never know. But I do think it's really fun, and I think it's sad that they don't get enough credit for this. I mean, if we're looking at some of these games, like, I'm not saying you want to go play Fallout 76 that much, but 60 FPS, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Far Cry 5, Far Cry 4, Fallout 4, the Assassin's Creed games were significantly boosted, like a lot of them. 3 Remastered, Rogue Remastered, Ezio Collection.
The Battlefield games are 120.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how much they were able to do. And no one, I guess a couple generations ago, would have thought that consoles would be playing 120 FPS games, really, because the push was always, oh, we gotta get those high pixel counts, those high graphics. It doesn't matter how bad the game plays, it just has to be pretty, because our consumers are idiots.
Yes.
Like, that was kind of the push in consoles forever, was like, consumers are dumb. They don't understand how frames per second work. All we have to do is go, ooh, shiny, and make them look at the pretty thing, and they'll buy it.
Did you mention that PlayStation kind of did a piss poor job?
Well, yeah, so with the PS4 Pro, there certainly were enhancements with the boost mode. This was sort of the first, I think that boost mode with PlayStation was sort of the precursor to Xbox's FPS Boost, because even though they did do some backwards compatible stuff and enhancements, the boost mode with PlayStation was designed to stabilize experiences. The thing is, though, it's a bare minimum. Like, so for example, games struggling to reach 30 FPS, it would get them there and lock it there so that it wouldn't really fall. or rise above that much instead of them struggling to get there. So it was able to help them push the benchmarks that they were trying to reach before, but generally it didn't do much for frame rate compared to Xbox's FPS Boost now. So when people are talking now about the PlayStation Game Boost trailer that came out, right? Very pretty new, with God of War, I believe, on PS4, Shadow of the Colossus, stuff like that, and how they're saying that they will get these PS4 games running very well. You actually have Xbox to thank for that. You know, this wouldn't be happening, really, in my opinion, if Xbox hadn't been behind the last console generation, playing catch-up and making their console the place to play old games, on console. You wouldn't be getting the PlayStation Game Boost without that. And even if the PlayStation Game Boost is better or not as good, which I kind of think it'll be the same to not as good, to be honest. And you got it because of Xbox.
And also, unlike Jim Ryan says, a lot of people really like playing old games. We do. There's a lot of people I could list off who love older games. And if you want to play old games and have them look good and play good, I guess Xbox is the one for you.
Yeah, for now, Xbox is holding the crown there. Hopefully not the Burger King crown on an airplane, but a crown nonetheless.
When do you think Xbox is going to sponsor us?
Probably will not.
Oh.
I mean, I think I've said just as much negative stuff as positive in the past, but
Frustrating.
It's, this is something to look into if you're a fan of older games, especially if you don't really want to go out there and pay, a couple $1,000s to build a really good PC and buy monitors. This is kind of the thing, I think.
I mean, if you want to pay a couple $1,000s for an Xbox, you could look up a scalper on eBay.
You probably could.
But I recommend...
That's the sad thing.
I recommend trying to check your local Facebook Marketplace first, because that's where we got one for cheaper.
We got ours for literally what it would have been in store.
Yeah.
With tax. So it was the exact same. I almost wondered if it was stolen because of that.
I was a little worried.
But I don't think it was, because they usually register those serial numbers and they're banned from Xbox Live, which ours wasn't. So
okay, good.
Anyways, beside the point, I love this feature in Xbox. I love how it makes games look and run. I hope you'll check that out. I really do hope for the best with PlayStation's Game Boost, because as much as I love Xbox to death, I prefer the PlayStation exclusives when they're made. Some of my favorite games, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, the Killzone games were awesome. Games like this that we don't really see anymore. More recently, Medieval, which was a PS1 game, got remade for the PS4. These games are awesome. So I would love to see them running better on PlayStation. And if so, I'm glad that this devotion to old games on the Xbox has pushed Sony to do that. That's the point of the whole console wars, like actually behind the scenes. Not kids bitching at each other about their plastic box, but it's these companies trying to make their product slightly better so you'll buy it, and then the other guy does the same thing, and back and forth, so that you, the consumer, benefit. And I'm really glad that we're on the right track with that finally, instead of just pushing pixel count.
You know what? You as a consumer can now have the best gaming experience you possibly can.
Exactly, and hopefully better going forward with this competition. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. Jill, thank you for joining me on this one.
You're not welcome.
Wingmanning, as you will.
I'm a wing woman. Don't misgender me.
Wing personing. We appreciate it very much. Be sure to check out the description with all the links down below.
Check out my Etsy shop.
Yes, Jill's Etsy shop is down there. She's making a wide variety of things. I actually am designing a new bracelet very soon, and I have no affiliation with what the Easter egg I'm referencing, but let's just say it's inspired by a certain sci-fi series I love, and that I'll be back.
And also, my stuff is still 15% off until June 10th.
Absolutely. Fantastic deal. So be sure to check that all out. Hope you join us on the Let's Play channel down there. Have a fantastic day. Hey, we love all plastic boxes. All plastic boxes matter to us. We love the Switch, the PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. We love them all.
Hashtag PBM. Plastic boxes matter.
They do. They definitely do. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone,
stay shui.
Stay shui.